Well, hello again folks. Hope yous are all still in good form out there, and welcome to another video, hey. Now, I filmed this last spring, and I haven't edited it until now because it was just one of those days that didn't go the way you hoped it would. As the last time I was here, I got 7 or 8 hooded crows and a fox, so I had high hopes for this morning, but as you'll see, it just didn't work out that way. But I did manage to get there bright and early, while it was still dark, to set the hide and all up, which is a good thing as the birds don't get a chance to see you. The hide, as usual, is the little one-man pop-up hide that I bought from bushwear.com many years ago, and I put a camouflage net round it that's like a ghillie suit from Nighthawk. Once I had that done, I went out to set the bait and the decoy up. The bait is basically a dead rabbit that I split open and threw its guts out to make it look as if a fox or something killed it that night and left it. The decoy actually is a dead hooded crow that I set up on a little wire cradle that I make to make it look as if it's sitting on its own 2 feet, and it's usually quite effective. The rifle that I'm using is my CZ527 Varmint N17 Hornet, which is a small centerfire round. It's not an HMR rimfire. And I do use my own home loads in it. The scope is a Meopta 4-16x44 tactical, which I have fitted a Tacticam Solo and an FTS unit to the back of it to film through, and the suppressor up front is a Wildcat Panther in 17 caliber. Now, for those keyboard warriors who are waiting to type something abusive as soon as I shoot something, this is spring and this farmer is about to start lambing, and hooded crows do a lot of damage not only to lambs but also full grown sheep if they do get them on their back and unable to protect themselves. And legally in Northern Ireland we can control hooded crows and magpies for the protection of livestock. Now, where were we? Oh yes, as you can see I've been sitting quite a while as it's now light, and nothing really was happening, until suddenly a hooded crow just dropped in very quietly to the bait. And the little 17 Hornet made light work of it. Now, I didn't see or hear any other hooded crows in the background, so I decided to quickly nip out and set the bird I had just shot up as a decoy. Unfortunately, this will probably be the last time I can do this in this field. As you can see in the top left hand corner, there's a building site, as the farmer's son is going to build a house up in there, so I'm going to have to look for somewhere else. After a while I could hear a crow calling in the distance, and I looked about for it and finally spotted it in a tree just the other side of the hilltop. It certainly wasn't shootable, but it was a good sign I might get another opportunity before long. And sure enough, there was 2 or 3 birds taking an interest. But I wanted them on the ground and a safe shot, so I had to wait. Thankfully though, one finally dropped down not too far from the bait. Oh. After all that, took up too much pressure. That's right. Yep, I missed. I don't know whether my hands were cold or what it was, but I had just taken too much pressure up on the trigger before centering the crosshairs. Ah! I missed. After all that, took up too much pressure on the trigger. Oh, I was gutted. I don't often miss them, thankfully, but when you do, it makes that bird twice as hard to decoy again. Now, I'd been sitting quite a while at this stage, when I noticed a few other dark coloured birds floating about. But they weren't hooded crows, they were rooks and jackdaws. Now they don't really do the sheep any harm, but they do take notice of any other dead corvids lying about. And sometimes when they do this, it can encourage the hooded crows to come back. And sure enough, that's just what happened. Unfortunately though, even though it looked really keen, it wouldn't land, and ended up flying off into the distance again. So, thinking that something was putting the bird off from landing, I tried in one last desperate effort. I went out and lifted the two birds I had set out as decoys and brought them back in, just leaving the dead rabbit as bait. After a while, the rooks and jackdaws came back, but all they're really interested in is poking through the field looking for earthworms and leather jackets, which is actually like a big maggot that lives in the ground and the larvae to the daddy longlegs, which chews in the grass roots. So here the rooks are actually doing the farmer a good thing. After a while, I notice a bird land beside the dead rabbit. But it's not a crow, it's actually a jackdaw. I've never really seen a jackdaw feed on carrion like this before. But once I looked through the scope, I realised it's not the meat it's after, it's the fur. It's probably picking it up and using it to lag its nest with. It finally flew off though, and I was just about to switch the camera off when, yes, you'll never guess it, a hooded crow landed right at the bait. Man, I waited a long time for that shot, so I made sure I didn't miss. I went out and set that bird up as a decoy, and hung around for a while longer. I even got the crow call out of my pocket and tried it. But nothing would work, and my patience finally ran out, so I decided to call it a day. Well, I was hoping to do a wee bit better than this morning. I've got 2 birds, but last year in this same field I managed to get, was it 7 or 8, and a fox. There's birds here, there's definitely crows here, but they just didn't switch on this morning. They seemed distracted with something elsewhere. I could hear them in the distance, but they weren't really interested in the rabbit and that I had put out. And I have a very embarrassing miss, otherwise I might well have had 3, but what can you do? At least I've got 2, so I'll pack up and head home. Cheerio. Well folks, that's the end of that one. Not a very impressive bag at 2, but you get days like that unfortunately. As for finding another part of the farm that I can decoy crows on, I'll have to have a look about. There's 1 or 2 places, but whether I can use the 17 Hornet or just have to go to the rimfire air rifle, I'm not sure. But anyway, that'll do to another time, so take care of yourselves folks and look after yourselves, hey.